Hello to all wonderful, unique beings. It is Monday, February 5th. For those that are listening on any wonderful DSP, this is Tuesday, February 6th. And we're here to talk sports, as we'll do so every Tuesday, showing love to all of you that are watching us on YouTube at this point in time. If I look pixelated, I'm sorry. It is what it is. I'll check in a second. But anyway, well, we are here to talk about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is this Sunday. We will get into our picks. We will get into what we believe is going to be the key factors in winning this game. Not like they really are going to listen to us anyway, but we'll still share what we have to share with that. Got a little baseball. Got a little baloncesto basketball. So we'll get into a little bit of all of the things, and we also have a very, very special person. He's not even a guest anymore. He's just family. He always has been family anyway, but he's family to you guys now too. But let's get into the introductions. Now to introduce the most dominating tag team of the East. And I meant dominant, not dominating. But he is the brains of the group, the number cruncher. He is the advisor. Sam, how the hell are you doing?
This might be semantics, but does tag team imply two people?
Well, yes. We'll get to yes.
You just said Harrison's here. I just blew the lead.
Yeah, but we're gonna
Anyway,
you just gonna
hey,
ruin
people.
everything I'm doing here?
Super Bowl. I can't see you, so like
he only acts like this when you're here, Harrison. He doesn't do this when anybody else. It's just him. That's it.
You guys can be the tag team. I'll just like run in like Royal Rumble.
Yeah. We're the tag team, and you know how they have like the triple threat matches or whatever? Like you're just the third person that comes in and you just help and shit. So
there you go.
That's it.
I'm happy with that. It's fine.
There you go. I don't even care what Sam says anymore. I'm Brandon, and we have Harrison, as you just heard his voice. How you doing, Harrison?
We're good. Excited for Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah, ready to go.
By we're, who is we're?
What do you mean we're? We're excited, aren't we?
No, I'm not excited about the Super Bowl at all.
How? Why?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll definitely get into that. I'm not excited about it at all.
This is a podcast format, so I guess you get to talk about it.
Yeah.
We got an hour to talk about this thing, so
let's just dive in. So
the whole
on Sunday,
is curious why
we got the Niners.
Very curious.
We got the Niners on Sunday. We got the Chiefs on Sunday. We got Las Vegas on Sunday. There'll be a lot of people getting arrested for indecent exposure out in Vegas. A lot of drunk people. Harrison, it's a thing. It happens. What are your guys' thoughts leading up to this game? What are some key factors that you see? We'll just start with the Chiefs, since they are the reigning defending champs. And at one point, we thought they absolutely were not going to get back to this point throughout the season. So let's just start there. What do you think are the key factors for the Chiefs to win this game?
Kadarius Toney stays on the sidelines.
That's fair.
That's fair. No, honestly, it's just the KC defense stepping up and Mahomes continuing to just be vintage Mahomes, what we've seen the last couple weeks. And yeah, we've spent a lot of time, the three of us this season, talking about how this Chiefs team isn't quite what we expect. And we did the same thing last year. They won a Super Bowl. So I think if Patty keeps playing the way he plays,
you didn't have to do that part. You didn't have to talk about last year like that.
No, we did. We had a lot of questions though. It was, no Tyreek Hill. What's his team going to look like? How they, you're losing a lot. You're losing one of the best receivers, athletes in sports, and they were okay. So against all odds, they're doing it again. And I think if Patrick Mahomes continues to keep the ball clean, no turnovers, anything like that, I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, same for me, really. Just keep the defense has to continue to be very good. It's been very good all postseason, and basically why they're here. You're kind of accustomed to the Chiefs being that offensive powerhouse, but they just haven't been that this year. They've just been kind of getting by with scoring a few touchdowns and letting that defense kind of rock out. So, that defense got to stay strong. You got Steve Spagnuolo, obviously. He's been in a bunch of these Super Bowls, so I kind of expect them to do some of the similar things. Offense just got to get back on track. They didn't score in the second half against the Ravens, so look for them to keep get back on track here. Pacheco's got a touchdown in 7 straight games, I think, so he's going to have to kind of find the end zone. And then for that defense, just keep the 49ers in kind of long distance situations. Make Brock Purdy have to make some plays and keep the ball in his hands. And then, change and keep the possession. Obviously they did that really well against the Ravens. The Ravens barely had the ball. So if they can keep that offense on the field and the defense can continue to be kind of a force, that's kind of why they're my pick. I guess we'll get to that, but obviously the way we're talking about it, I think the Chiefs are my pick, Sam's pick, and I think yours, Hayes. So what do you think?
It is my pick. And I know you've mentioned the defense, but I'm going to get a little bit, get in there nice and real deep. CMC is the number one person that they need to stop. That's the number one person they need to stop. I understand that Debo, everything plays off of CMC. So if I want to see what Spags has laid out for him to stop him, because I believe that once you're able to stop him, yes, it's going to allow certain holes on the defensive end or the back portion of the defense to allow Debo to do certain things. But the way this defense has been playing all year, they've been playing lights out. So I believe that they can stop them. It's crazy that I'm about to say this, but I don't have any fear, and I don't think the Chiefs really do right now, in Kittle. Kittle's kind of been like a shell of himself in recent memory, and I know he's been a top tight end, but I have no fear in them. I obviously know they're not going to go into the game and say what I'm saying. I'm also not playing on the field on Sunday. So CMC is definitely the focal point there. And then also is Rice is the wide receiver for the Chiefs, is getting him active early and often. Get him going to the point of, he's been the best receiver for them. And Sam's talked about it on the pod in past, of how this kid has just emerged out of nowhere, being a rookie, and has now been the number one wide receiver for this team. This whole playoffs, he's been phenomenal. Some slow starts and whatnot, but he's still been great for Patrick Mahomes outside of obviously Kelsey. And that's going to be a key factor, which we'll get into for the Niners too. But also I'd say for the Chiefs is making sure that Isaiah Pacheco is running like a mad kid that didn't get the sweets that he wanted in the store, because that's how he runs every single time he has the goddamn ball. And it's going to be very entertaining to see what the Niners do, which I'll elaborate more when we get into that. So we might as well just go and transition into the Niners. And I'll just continue from there. The Niners, their run defense also has essentially been non-existent in recent memory. And you could see that definitely in the championship game. And you can see that a little bit in games prior to that. The defense, the run defense that we've known to get to the pass rusher, is not really as dominant as it once was. I don't know if that has anything to do with D'Amico Ryans departing, and it's finally catching up, or whatever the case, or scheme wise. But that is not going to work against Pacheco, because he is absolutely going to break off runs, and he shows up in the biggest moments.
Dude runs like he's going to run through a wall.
Yeah,
literally.
absolutely.
Every
single time
he grabs the ball. It's insane.
Every single time. He looks like, when you see somebody that they start off and they run like that, they look like they're really running hard and far and fast, and it just doesn't do anything. Well, the difference is he actually is doing that.
Like running in place almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what it kind of looks like when he starts off, but then he's just gone.
Yeah.
I also feel for the Niners, it's again, is how are you going to get CMC involved early? How are you going to get Kittle? How are you going to get Debo? How are you going to get Ayuk in there early? They have 7 Pro Bowlers. I mentioned it last week. 7 Pro Bowlers on that offensive side. How are you going to get those guys active early and often, and getting the ball in your playmakers' hands? Like, that is going to be a key for them to also settle down Purdy. because they're absolutely going to pin their ears back and try to come at Purdy as quick as they possibly can and as often as they can. So I'm curious to see, because this game, I know most games is a battle in the trenches, but I feel like this absolutely is going to tell what we need to see throughout the whole entire game.
Yeah, similar for me for the Niners. I think, Purdy's got to really protect the ball. Obviously, he's going to be in there as that game manager that he has been. No disrespect to a game manager. He's been kind of solid doing it. The blitz, you got to stay out of long distance situations. He's led the league in yards per attempt, tied one in touchdowns, and second in passing yards against the blitz. So if you can kind of manage those situations where he's not going, 8 to 12 yards on those downs, that'll help them. And then for the defensive side, that defensive line, they just have to contain Mahomes. Mahomes has been really good scrambling. Obviously, he doesn't have the receivers that he's had in the past. So he's been getting out of the pocket and making plays with his feet. And then and also on the defensive side, the Niners give up under 10 yards to tight ends. So we got to get Kelsey under control and continue that track. And then they got to start fast. If they don't start fast, they're going to be behind the 8 ball early, and I don't see it going well for them. So a lot of keys for them, but important keys to kind of win this game.
I love that stat against tight ends, but the funny thing about that to me is it's not the best. They've done that against not the best tight end.
Sure.
Period. Right. So everybody comes in to play the Chiefs as a game plan to stop Kelsey. Like that's one of your main priority is to stop Kelsey. We all know that's Patrick Mahomes' number one wide receiver, and it never comes to fruition because he's just that good. But also, Mahomes makes it look easy when it's hard for him too, right?
Sure.
He's able to throw those sidearm passes. He's able to. I feel people talked about Purdy, and I talked about it last week about how Purdy scrambled. I don't think people give Patrick Mahomes enough credit for his scrambling. He's not the fastest. He doesn't have to be the fastest, right? You're worried about everything in his arm over the top. You're worried about him making, because he can make literally every single throw. And if you cover everything down the field, he's like, okay, I'm smart enough to get out of the pocket and fast enough to get out of the pocket, and I'm going to get those yards anyway. And if you think I'm going to go down, if I have an opportunity to go even further, I'm going to take that too, right? So I feel that is a super underrated part of his game, and he uses it just basically if I need to. That's his ace in the hole. I'm going to keep this just in case, and so you guys have to play it. So just think about that, Harrison. Like, this guy is literally sprinkling it over the field. Yep. You have to be on every single receiver at every single time. He has a running back in the backfield now that is going to absolutely run his hardest no matter what. And you have a guy that can literally, if all else fails, he can run out of the pocket, still pass the ball, and if he doesn't want to pass the ball, he can tuck it and run. So it's very, very interesting to see it, and this run that he's on right now and the Chiefs are on right now, because I don't want to just say it's him, because Andy Reid is a mastermind of this all, but this is it's sickening. It's Brady-esque. So it's absolutely sickening seeing it again. But I actually like Patrick Mahomes, so yeah, I'm okay with it, and I love Coach Reid, and I love Kelsey. So I'm like, I was absolutely sick of it last year because of who they played, and this year I'm just like, I just don't care to see either of these teams, but I'd much rather the Chiefs win, because I cannot live with myself hearing Niners fans just talk about this. I cannot.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why he's the best in the league. I mean, yes. He sprinkles in, like you said, his running skills, and he doesn't need to use them because his arm talent is so good. Yeah. And, he's a generational quarterback. I think, to me, he's the best I've ever seen. And that's also why I'm picking them. You got a solid defense and the best quarterback I've ever seen. So it's a kind of no-brainer to go with the Chiefs. With that in mind, obviously, they could absolutely lose this game. The 49ers are a very talented team with a lot of weapons. So I think it's going to be a very good one. I know that some people, I guess, are down on this matchup, but I'm really, really excited for it.
I will say this is I've said it to Sam on a couple of pods. I'm sure I've said it to you via text or maybe even on this pod. Um, Outside of when they play my team, I will never bet against Patrick Mahomes ever again in my life. Period. I would have thought I learned from betting against Brady, who I also always bet against when it was my team. But I will never do that ever again for Patrick Mahomes because he just consistently gets back to the point that we just think that he can't get to. So Harrison and I have said enough. Sam, what are your keys for the Niners?
Yeah, I think you mentioned Kittle before, like not producing. I think a lot of it's he's so valuable as a blocker, and he's such. I dropped out for a sec, so I don't know what you
No,
guys
you're fine.
covered,
We
but
can talk
You're
about
good.
this.
yeah.
Yep, you're
So
good.
I mean, his ability to what he can do, whether it's just even chipping guys or just just help support the run game, there is really valuable. I think for the Niners to get off to a good pace here, they need to score. They kind of stuttered the last the opening drives, opening halves of the last two games. They're not at home, so it's going to be interesting there. What Brock Purdy are we going to see? Are we going to see second half Brock Purdy, which we spent an hour on last week just raving about? But there's also first half Brock Purdy, and well, I think that's going to be a
I think
really
Sam dropped again.
that's going to
He's
be a
having
big
some
moment, a big
and
indicator
normally
of what
it's
kind of
me.
team we're going to see here.
It's
Normally
always
it's
you with the
me.
technical
And
issues. Yeah.
it's crazy is because it just never ceases to amaze me, but it's here we are. But yeah, we got the what Sam was saying essentially here. So we all have the Chiefs winning this.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think there's really any argument there. What do you think this does for Andy Reid's legacy?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then also, what do you think this does for Mahomes and his, because the only person he's chasing is Brady. What do you think this does for his legacy and chasing those rings?
Yeah, I mean, obviously speaking in the future, and if they do win this, that's they could absolutely lose this game. Like, I'm not 100% gun strong on the Chiefs. Like it actually is kind of a tough pick for me because I think the 49ers do have some things that match up really well with the Chiefs, and they're very kind of opposite in a sense. So it is a clash of definitely opposites. But if they were to win this, I think it just kind of continues them on that path. I don't think it puts them at that dynasty level yet. To me, a dynasty is 3 in a row, a certain amount out of 5. But that's my kind of parameters for a dynasty. They'll have 3 now, 2 in a row. So I think it just continues them on that path of being great, and being, maybe the greatest coach of all time in Andy Reid, who's been doing it for so long
Yes,
with,
yes.
Eagles and Chiefs. And, there was a couple years there where he was like kind of underrated in a sense. But he's just been winning, and he has this system that is bulletproof basically. To where, if he keeps winning championships, I don't know if he retires after this. I don't know why you would, but if they keep going down that path, it's the greatest coach of all time and the greatest quarterback of all time, hands down. And I don't see why Mahomes will stop winning championships anytime soon. I think if you put some good pieces around him, why won't he be here every year? Similar to now, like obviously the offensive pieces that he has now are not great,
No.
aside from Pacheco and Kelsey, and Kelsey's kind of on the back end of his career. Why not continue the path he's on, reload and get new pieces? He's going to continue to be great, especially with the way he plays the game. He doesn't put himself at risk for injury very much.
No.
Barely ever. And he's smart about when he runs and when he uses that skill set. So, I think it just continues them on the path. I'm not ready to kind of solidify them as a dynasty or solidify Mahomes as the greatest of all time, because I think you need the resume to back that up. But from my eyes and what I've seen, I think he is. But you still need that resume for those kind of debates and questions later on. So that's where I have him.
Well, I'll say that it absolutely will be a dynasty if they complete this, because this would be 3 rings for them. Or at this point, right? It'd be 3 rings for them.
It'd be 3, but they got, a 2-year gap in there.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget the Patriots had a huge gap in their time with Brady as well too, right? So I think this is just the beginning of, and he's what, 20, what is he, 27, 28?
I think 28.
Right?
Yeah.
So Kelsey is on his way out. A lot of people think that he's just going to propose to Taylor at halftime, or excuse me, if they win at midfield or whatnot, which I could 100% seeing. I wonder if there's
that would break the internet,
bro. If there's a prop bet for it, I'm putting money on it. I'm telling you that right now. I don't care what anybody says. If I see that there's a prop bet for him to propose if they win in midfield, I'm putting money on it right now because it's just going to happen. Yeah, no, I everything that you said is I completely understand. I see it a little different just because just of what he's doing right now, and especially with, to me, this would be the most impressive Super Bowl for them, is because the way that the offense started out this year, where everybody was essentially doubting what he had as offensive weapons. Like last year was, okay, well, you can't do it without Tyreek. Well, they did it without Tyreek, right? This year was, okay, who the hell is your receiving core, right? And now you have a rookie step up as the number one guy. Obviously, you still have old reliable in Kelsey, which hasn't gone anywhere. But I feel like this is the most trial and tribulation that we've seen Mahomes go through in his career for a run to the Super Bowl. And I think this one would probably be for him. I feel like he'll say it after, if they win, like this year was the toughest year that I had, like, offensively with this team and whatnot, right? The defense held this team up majority of this year, right? So the offense is kind of getting into their groove now at the best time to get into the groove, which is everything is about timing. So Andy Reid is already one of the greatest coaches. We already know that. It's this will do a lot for that conversation, and seeing if Kelsey retires, because him and his brother are kind of like almost on the same timeline of if they're going to retire, if they're not going to retire. Mahomes is not anywhere near retiring. So I'm interested to see. I feel like once, I think he'll get his, like, I think people will respect him because of what he's already done and who he is, right? But I think people will truly give him his flowers while he's playing if Kelsey retires during his time of play and he's still in his, like, prime and he still wins. You know what I mean? Like, if he's still able to get to that point without Kelsey, so you say he has no weapons and he still does it, like, I'm curious about that. So
I'd be curious what he would truly say is his most important one, because I see your point with that one, but I think the last one would have been, more so, just because of how they lost in the Super Bowl prior. They kind of got destroyed by Tom Brady, and the questions were there of, like, okay, he's great, but he's not at this level. And then to come back last year without Tyreek and then win one, I kind of would put that one up there as the most important. I mean, the second one's usually the hardest to get, because you have all those expectations from the first, and then you have kind of a 2-year gap between it. This year, I just feel it's more of a continuation of greatness. Obviously, they had a much different kind of trials and tribulations this year. Very different team. They looked completely different. And I would say it just kind of puts another, notch in his belt, is like, okay, I can take this type of team to the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'd be curious what he says and how he kind of ranks his Super Bowls if he were to obviously win this one. But for me, I think getting back to the mountaintop that second time after what they had been through in the Super Bowl prior would rank higher. But we'll see. We'll let it shake out when his career is all said and done.
Yeah.
Luckily for us,
it's not anywhere near being done. Yeah.
not luckily as a Jets fan and Eagles fan. He's going to continue to do it. But we still got a lot of time watching him play, and he's already done so much at whatever he is, 28 years old. So just impressive. Love to watch him.
Agreed. The Eagles beat one GOAT. they can beat this goat too. I'm just waiting for the day. They should have won last year, but whatever. Sam,
Yeah.
have you been resuscitated? Are you good?
I'm here, man. I'm here. I'm on my phone,
Okay.
but we're good. I can't
Okay.
trust the internet, so I'm on my
Okay.
cell phone, but we're good.
Fair. So we pretty much just wrapped up just to get you back up to speed. We pretty much just wrapped up, or kind of like our final thoughts. Harrison and I were just chatting about the legacy of Andy Reid and the legacy of Mahomes. And Harrison doesn't believe at this point that they are a dynasty yet. He needs to see more. And I believe that if they win this, that they will. Harrison believes it's a continuation of greatness from last year going forward. So kind of definitely chime in and want to hear your thoughts on what do you think this means for Andy's legacy and Mahomes' legacy.
I mean, I think it's huge. What Andy would have, how many? He'd have 3 Super Bowls, right?
Three.
If they
Yep.
win. So I mean,
Mhm.
that's impressive company. And what Patrick Mahomes, you mentioned, he's 28 years old. What he's been able to accomplish, and just you count his playoff losses, and they're all in either the championship game or in the Super Bowl. Like that's
Mhm.
crazy. So I mean, if it's not a dynasty, I think it's like a fringe there. It's the closest thing we'll probably see outside of the Patriots for, you know, a good amount of time. So it's impressive ultimately. And you know, there isn't a better combination. We talk about a lot, just that Hall of Fame coach and quarterback that kind of go hand in hand. And, here's just another example. I think even regardless of how this game shakes out, just the turnover offensively that this team has had, and losing the enemy, and it hasn't shaken, well, it has shaken the team, but as far as it's business as usual this week, right? I think they have the upper hand. I don't know if you gave your picks or not yet, but I'll just say I have the Chiefs, and I think it's just, been there before. They've been through this circus. They're in a stadium that they're familiar with, and even though it's a newer stadium. And just reports that the Niners are playing or practicing at UNLV, and the field's like squishy. They said it's not ideal. So
What
and
is up
the
with squishy fields against the Chiefs? Like this, I'm over this shit.
yeah,
Okay.
and the Chiefs are at the Raiders facility. Apparently, the Raiders facility is big enough to house both teams. Separately. I think there's 3 fields, 2 outside, 1 inside. So if they need to move, but then again, disrupting the flow of the week. And again, it's something that this team is used to the circus. Whether it's media day, whether it's like people's girlfriends, whatever it is, like they're used to.
Don't no. Don't say people's girlfriend. Say her goddamn name. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. Go
Yeah,
ahead, continue.
I'm pro Taylor Swift. I don't
I
I
know
Pro
you
Taylor.
didn't
are. I know you
I
are.
didn't think it
We're
was
very
a distraction as it was happening. The team, it's not, it hasn't been one now. And, again, it's just something that they're kind of familiar with. Whereas
Mhm.
this is a different Niners team than the last time they were in the Super Bowl. Especially the guy under center. I'm not, I mean, I think Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Jimmy G. Don't get me wrong. Uh, but it's just it's a different team. And, the Chiefs have pretty much stayed intact from last year. So I think it'll be a great game. I have the Chiefs taking it, but again, would not be surprised either way. So I'll hedge there. But
Before we go into the next topic, I want to take this moment for everybody that's listening to share this section with a Raiders fan. Raiders fans, sorry, you have to watch the Chiefs, your rival, and you also have to watch the Niners,
your
another
old
one of your
rival,
rivals.
yeah,
Yep, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
in your
So,
stadium, yeah.
in
in
you
your state.
exactly on your field, one of those teams is going to win. So just reach out to a Raiders fan and give them a hug or
I don't know any
send them
Raiders
a little
fans.
money. I
I
know a
don't know any
couple.
Raider fans either,
I just know
actually.
like 2. That's it. That's it.
All right. Well,
Not too many.
give him a hug for us there,
I
Hayes.
probably won't. I probably just won't
Yeah.
say anything because they've talked too much shit themselves anyway. So it's whatever. You did mention Eric Bieniemy, which
Yeah.
we absolutely need to talk about this because we've championed him on this pod on several occasions, and here we are with Eric Bieniemy losing his job as OC for the Commanders. After he was highly touted or people held him in high regard to be a head coach, he still hasn't got that shot. He went from KC to the Commanders. KC still doing fine. The Commanders didn't do too fine. And now Dan Quinn is the head coach of the Commanders, and he has said that Eric Bieniemy will not be returning. The person that's replacing him is Cliff Kingsbury, which was also a weird situation because over the weekend he agreed to be with the Raiders, and now he's going to be with the Commanders. So I pose the question to you both. What the hell is wrong with Eric Bieniemy? And what is this stigma that surrounds him in the NFL that this man cannot get a head coaching job or now keep an OC job?
For a long time, I thought it was a whole, like, it's not you, it's me. Like, it just wasn't a good fit. And I was reading The Athletic today. He interviewed for the Washington job after Ron Rivera was fired. And now he was hired to come in as the OC, leaving the Super Bowl champions. You figure Ron's on the hot seat, the hottest of seats. It was Eric Bieniemy's job to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't go after a coordinator like that, and he's making a lateral move to actually a worse move. I mean, it's a worse team, but you don't do it without kind of the inside track at being the next head coach. But I was reading The Athletic. This is his 17th job interview for a head coaching job, according to The Athletic. So I thought it was a whole, it's not you, it's me. I still think he's a hell of a coordinator, but I don't know the answer, man. It's perplexing. I don't know if he's rubbing people the wrong way or just he doesn't, he's a great coordinator and we're not in that building. I don't have much exposure to him at all, but it's 17. You interviewed for head coaching jobs 17 times. It's there's something there that we're not privy to. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you're kind of spot on the mark there. It's, I've been in, my normal job, a lot of head coaching hires and a lot of interviews with coaches. And sometimes you can tell right away that they're just not a head coach. Like they're a great assistant, they're a great OC, but to lead an entire organization as a CEO, they just don't fit that mold. So maybe that is it for him. He took a poor job, as OC of the Commander. Like there's not a lot there to work with coming from, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Like you got a lot of weapons there, and then it's not always this. It's definitely not the same, and grass isn't always greener. Grass was definitely not greener in this case, with what he had to work with at the Commanders. So, it's a tough spot for him because you take a poor job. There's not a lot of kind of room for upward mobility there. And now you're on the outs, probably looking for another OC job, or even further down the list. Now you got to kind of work your way back up that chain. But yeah, 17 head coaching interviews is an impressive, unfortunate lot. So obviously there is something there where these owners are seeing something or getting some type of vibe where this guy just may not be a head coach. And not everyone's cut out for it. There's only so many of those positions. So that seems to be his rub right now.
This whole Quinn thing, I'll let you jump in there, Hayes, but I want to talk about how the Commanders hired Dan Quinn too, because this whole thing is weird as hell. But go ahead, Hayes.
No, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
I was going to say, yeah, apparently Ben Johnson, who is the OC for the Lions, was interviewing for the Commanders job or a second interview. I know he's been a hot name for a couple years. He decided last year he wasn't quite ready to be a head coach. And again, I think this was on The Athletic or maybe ESPN, one of the sports sites I was reading today, that he basically told Washington brass while they were in the air that he was turning down a second interview or the potential to be, or took his name out of the race while leadership of the Commanders were en route to him, and I'm assuming Detroit. So apparently that's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way and led to Dan
Well,
Quinn being hired.
I'll chime in. Did you hear why?
Yeah.
Apparently it happened.
No.
So when Ben Johnson was there, obviously you know who is part of the ownership and GM front office is former basketball and current basketball owners, and he said that they are treating this like this is a basketball team and not as if a football team is what has come out and been rumored to say from that. And then also on the opposite side, from the Commanders camp, is coming out is that Ben didn't interview well at all and that he was terrible. So it's a lot of, at this point in time, he said,
Finger pointing.
she said type situation that has been going on. So it's very intriguing just hearing all that has been going on. But it's not even a surprise that it's happening with the Commanders because it's just they're known for messy stuff. So here it is.
It doesn't matter who's it doesn't matter who's
I was
right
about
in
to
the
say
checks, right?
it's hard. It's hard to judge like Eric Bieniemy based off of the situation that he's just in because it's not a stable one or anyone involved in any of this process with the Commanders. Like they've been probably the worst run organization in football for the last however many years.
Yeah.
I don't want to probably go back decades. So, judging anyone in this situation based off of what we're reading or seeing, or even the actions that are being made, I don't know if they make much sense because of who we're talking about here.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I think that's fair
Sam
to say.
Howell looks good too. In comparison, a 5th round pick with no help, or a bad line, and a defense that they basically gave up on by trading away huge pieces. If Eric wants to be the next OC of the Jets, I will pick him up at Teterboro myself. But that won't happen because we're tied to the hip with Nathaniel Hackett. But whatever.
Well, that's because the dictator Aaron Rodgers does what he wants, and it just is what it is. That's what he is, Harrison. There's literally everywhere he's gone is I want it my way, and if I don't get it my way, I'm gonna bitch and cry about it, and then I'm gonna say I'm retiring until I go into my little damn hole and I sit there and drink ayahuasca, and then I come back out and be like, okay, I'm good with you guys now, right? Okay, cool. Anyway, kick rocks, Aaron Rodgers.
I'll take it that way as opposed to Woody Johnson's way.
Well, that's also fair. That's also fair. For Eric Bieniemy, Harrison made a very, very valid point that I wasn't even thinking about. Is just he went from KC to the Commanders, and the Commanders just absolutely sucked. And this is the last year of Dan Snyder. And if I'm anybody, I'd be like, okay, listen, we're not going to hire you as a head coach right now because of what we just saw down there. But we're going to give you another chance. You can be an OC somewhere else, and then we'll really see what you can really, really do, right? So I feel like he still has a chance. But also, if you remember in the beginning of the year, actually even during the offseason, there was a lot of stories coming out of Commanders camp of him being and coaching them too hard, right? The players too hard and being very on top of them and not being like a more lax coach, like you're doing it my way. This is how we do it. And in this generation of athletes out there, they're looking for coaches that are more so a friendly coach, a guy that's going to be there for me, gal that's going to be there for me. Not everybody, because not everybody needs that coaching style, but that is what things have been trending towards, at least what I've seen, right? And a guy like him that is an old school guy that's in your face, like, I don't give a damn what you think, you're going to do it this way type guy. I can see how that in this generation doesn't fit, which is why Bill Belichick still doesn't have a job. But that's a whole other topic for another day. I believe Bieniemy will be on somebody's staff. I don't know in what capacity. I can't see him accepting anything lower than an OC because I just feel like he just wouldn't want to take that step, and I don't think that'd be a good step for him career wise either. Is taking that step back, maybe just takes a year off, right? And and reassesses whatever this is, and then comes back and does what he needs to do. But
he's got to be very selective of his next job.
Yes,
that's going to be his agent and him. He's got to be very, very selective on what he wants to do, where he wants to be, because the next one's probably make or break for him.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. So with that said, we've said enough about Mr. Bieniemy. Now this is the time of year that we can talk my other favorite sport, basketball.
Pickleball.
Yeah,
pickleball.
No, absolutely not.
Damn.
Have you guys been to the Poughkeepsie Galleria recently? Have you been to? I know you both have kids. Have you taken your kids to Bounce yet?
Oh, I heard they opened up in the Galleria. No, I have not. Yeah, well, I've been to Bounce, but not.
There's a whole side that has like pickleball courts, which is why I'm
nice.
Yeah. So very, very interesting.
They got pickleball. They got some golf simulators going in. It's going to be a big thing.
Yeah. So for the people that have no idea what we're talking about, it's just a mall by us. Don't worry about it. You're not missing anything. Let's get to the NBA.
There we go.
Yeah, it's a fine mall.
It's not a fine mall at all. Stop it.
It's better than our hometown.
That is very, very true. Well, our hometown mall is pretty much a casino now, but that is what it is.
And sinking into the ground.
And sinking into the ground. That's true. Bucks. The Bucks did something that caught a lot of people by surprise. They fired Adrian Griffin last month after starting out 30-13. I will repeat, starting out 30-13
seems good.
43 games. So you're telling me that you have one of the best records in the NBA, and I think at that time they had the best record in the NBA, right? Remember correctly?
I think they were second.
Yeah. Well, so one or two, whatever, semantics here. One or two, they had the second best record in the NBA, and you fire your head coach to hire, I love this guy, but to hire Doc Rivers, who was commentating on ESPN games, to be your head coach, the same guy that consistently was getting bounced in Philly with Joel Embiid, the reigning MVP, who is out with an MCL tear, which is confirmed.
Meniscus.
Yeah. I'm going to start with Harrison on this one. Make it make sense for me, please.
I love the move. So obviously I'm a big Damian Lillard fan, so I watch a lot of Bucks games.
This is a Dame Lillard stan podcast.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian Griffin, he was not it. So, I think obviously they're still winning games, they're still playing well, but their defense was so shoddy it wasn't even funny. And they looked like they had no plan on defense. And as a first-year head coach with Adrian Griffin, I love that they made the move now. Like, why wait? You have championship aspirations. You have a roster that can win a championship. Mm-hmm. If you know this guy is not your guy,
they make the move.
You got to make the move.
Mm-hmm.
So, despite being 30-13, despite having the offense decently well enough, you got to make that move. If you're not going to make it, you're basically looking at a second round exit, because he just didn't make the proper adjustments in second halves. He didn't seem to have a plan on defense. There was no schemes. It just was, it didn't look cohesive, if that makes sense, despite them being 30-13. So I was all for it. Hiring Doc, I mean, I like Doc, but like you said, he has underachieved with great rosters.
Yes.
But he's a good coach. He's one of the better coaches in the league.
Agreed.
So, we'll see where he takes them. But I think it was the correct move to say, he's not it for us. We have to make a move now because we're going to regret it later if we don't. So you kind of knew what you had. You know what you have.
Yeah.
And now you're going to go to someone that, okay, you may not know exactly, but at least it gives you a better chance, in my opinion.
I think the writing was on the wall after that argument that happened at the scorer's table between Giannis and Adrian, right? At that point in time, I was said to myself, I don't see this lasting long. I don't know what's happening here, because you never saw that with Budenholz prior to, right? You never saw that. He won a ring with him. That was never the situation. Like, star player gets coddled. That's just how it goes, right? But once I saw that in my head, I said, I don't know how long this guy is going to last. I didn't think it was going to be after this. I thought it might have been like at the end of the season. But to your point, Harrison, is if you already know that it's not the person and you found the person that you believe it's going to be, then you pull the trigger. And I absolutely love Doc. In general, I've been on record to say that at some point it's not on the coach, right? You can game plan to death, but at some point it's not on the coach. It's the effort of the actual players that are playing the game. So it's the coaches can scheme and do whatever they want. It's up to you as a player to execute. And if you don't do that, you don't do that, right? So I hope Doc gets that opportunity to, and I believe that they absolutely will. The East is, if you remember, I know you both remember, just a few years ago, the East was the least, right? It was everybody. It was whoever was coming out of the West is winning this championship, and the East has absolutely turned that around. And to see him being there and seeing the Bucks being a top 2 team in this division, and I think it's essentially at this point it's almost solidified, especially with Joel going down now at this point, and seeing the rumors of now them looking to trade Tobias Harris, and they're starting to sell like that. That Sixers team is going to look really different if it goes down that path that it's starting to look like, and the Bucks could just be the cream of the crop from the East at the top. So, very, very intriguing to see what's going to transpire from this.
Yeah, we knew losing Drew Holiday was going to cause some problems on the perimeter and just with the defense overall, and it's got to stop with Giannis, under the basket there, and that's a lot on him. I think, I was really confused by this move. The only thing that I commend them for just realizing that this isn't going to work and pulling the plug, because it's a ballsy thing to do, but they are probably completely paranoid and doing whatever they can to keep Giannis in Milwaukee. And if, whether it's that dust up at the scores table you mentioned, or things, in the facility we're not, we can't see, it probably was not a good fit. And you're going to align with your stars, and, they have to do whatever it takes to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Bucks uniform. It's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, they're doing that. They keep his brother on the team where his brother should be in the G League or not even in the league. So we'll just leave it right there with that. Harrison, do you have any final thoughts on that before we move on to the next topic?
No, they have the talent to win. I'm interested to see they probably need to make one deal at the deadline to probably get a guard that can do a little ball stopping and kind of. I like Caruso. I would like them to try to get Caruso. Who else? There's another name that I'm not thinking of right now.
I know Wiggins is out there on the market right now. Do you think Wiggins is a good fit for them?
I think anyone that can defend on the perimeter would just help them immensely. Like Sam said, yes, losing Drew is huge, and I'm not expecting. They don't need to be a defensively dominant team.
Nope.
They just need to come up with, be able to scheme up 3 or 4 more stops a game come playoff time. They're that close. So that's kind of why they made the move. I don't think they make this move if Doc Rivers isn't out there. I don't know, what other coach could entice them to kind of pull the plug on this. So that plays a lot into it as well. Obviously, looking back in a vacuum, they should have never fired Budenholzer, but now we're here. So they have the talent. They just need that one little more piece to get over the hump. And I think they'll be right there in the conference finals with the Celtics. And then it's kind of a 50-50 toss up to who makes it to the finals. So they got the talent to get there.
The team at the Garden doesn't look too bad either.
No, they're playing really well. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but like the Terry Rozier move to the Heat, like he looks great. This conference is not your father's Eastern Conference. it is, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk more basketball as we kind of,
Well,
wean off of
I will say
football here.
something about that Terry move. Don't be surprised if it'd be a shock to people, but don't be surprised if they're looking to move Jimmy at this point, because this team is
You
that
think
Heat team
so?
is not doing that a damn thing. They're not doing
Yeah.
anything right now, and it's been
That's what
rumored.
they.
It's been
That's
rumored
what they
right
did
now
last
moving.
year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They look terrible through it, and then the next thing you know, they're sitting here damn near playing for a ring. So it is what it is.
Was watching the game last night, and it was the same thing. It's like, when is Jimmy, like, playoff Jimmy and regular
Playoff
season Jimmy are,
They're just
you wouldn't recognize the other one, I'm sure.
no,
Like, it's just like, and Jimmy's never really been a scorer. He's clutch as hell. Don't get me wrong. We love Jimmy Butler, but like, he's not a prolific, like, I'm gonna just hang 35 on you. Like, he just doesn't do
no.
that. And yeah,
I mean, his
hopefully
game,
Rozier helps there, but
and
His game
yeah,
is so much more suited to the playoffs
yep,
when it's like
yeah,
grind it
yep.
out. I need a possession. Possession's a little slower, and you got to get a bucket. So
yeah.
I definitely don't see them moving him. That would be interesting.
Yep, yep.
But they'll be formidable in the playoffs. They got to get through probably playing games if they keep playing like this. But
Well, yeah,
they'll be formidable,
same.
which they did last year.
And they got to where they got to. So, shout out to the Heat for giving Coach Spo contract extension after he got his divorce. Shout out to y'all. Y'all the real MVPs. Anyway,
Yeah, you shared that with me. I was like, wow,
had
that is
to
a
get,
finesse move, man.
that was
Interesting accounting.
that was the
Yeah.
greatest, one of the greatest moves ever. That was guy code to a T. Anyway,
Pat Riley,
yeah,
man. Pat Riley doesn't mess around.
he's that old school. Like, yeah, no, you're gonna get your money. Don't worry about it. We'll get you your money.
Spo's like, thanks for the 120 mil. Can we just wait a couple months, please?
He's like, you don't even have to ask me. I already know. I got you. Just know it's gonna come as soon as it's done. Let me know when it's finalized. It'll be there the next day. Let's get to the MLB.
Oh wait, you didn't touch on Doc Rivers being the All-Star Game head coach.
Yeah,
Excuse
man,
me?
this is so weird.
Yeah, the weirdest thing. Yeah.
So I didn't even know this rule.
How?
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
So the Celtics are in first, but since Joe
Yeah.
Mazzulla was the
Last year's
coach last year, he can't be the coach this year, which is
Correct.
I don't know when
Yeah,
that became a rule, but whatever. The All-Star Adam Silver is the best commissioner in sports. I'm not disputing that, but the
I
NBA
agree.
is just like, all right, we're gonna do this now. Like, okay, we're back to
Yeah.
East-West. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Doc Rivers said he's going to be he's going to give the check and whatever else to Adrian Griffin. But like,
Yeah.
like, what the hell's going on? Like,
Yeah. Even
you got to have some like confidence to step into that sideline and just be like, all right, I earned this. It's
even Doc laughed about it in the press conference because it's just the most ridiculous thing. Like I had no idea that was a rule either, and I guess it just shakes out that way.
Can you withdraw your name and just like give it to whoever's third? Like Tibbs or something.
Guy, I guess you could. Yeah, I guess you could.
Well,
but
I'll say this since we stayed a little bit on basketball because I also wanted to talk about this and see since I have you both here today, I might as well just pose this question. And it was talked about so briefly, and then it was just not talked about because everybody's getting ready for the Super Bowl. But Sabrina Ionescu is going against Steph Curry in a 3-point contest this All-Star weekend. And this came out of nowhere. She won the WNBA 3-point contest, so they're All-Star last year. And I know they have a great relationship and essentially called Steph out. And this is happening now. So how much do you think Steph is going to win by?
Oh,
I'm surprised you are as big of a Sabrina fan as
I love Sabrina, but she's going against the greatest shooter that we have ever seen in our whole entire life.
I don't dispute that at all.
You know what I just said about Patrick Mahomes before? That I'm never betting against him. I will never bet against anybody in this whole damn world against Stephen Curry when it comes to shooting a basketball. Period.
She said she'd shoot from the NBA 3. Is that like going to happen?
That's great.
No.
She said she's shooting from the women's and Steph's shooting from the men's.
Okay. I mean, that's fine.
I think it'll be pretty close. I'm super excited for it.
I'm excited
really
for it too. Because I love them both. I just
We
don't.
need more. We need more of this. We need more of this. Just
I
like
love
Pro
it.
Bowl this weekend. Or I watched all the clips from the Pro Bowl. It looked like they had fun. So that's really what it's all about, right?
You know how I know the Pro Bowl doesn't matter anymore is I watched Get Up for the first time in like weeks, and they mentioned the Pro Bowl 0 times today. 0 times.
Really?
Not once did they mention anything about the Pro Bowl, period. They just talked about the game that's coming up, what the Cowboys going to do in the offseason with Dak's contract, what's happening with, because they have to always mention the Cowboys.
Why are we talking about Dak the week of the Super Bowl? There is not one
bro. They
reason.
legit. They talked about coordinators changing for the Ravens, all this other stuff. Did not even tighten the lip or loosen the lip to say anything about the Pro Bowl. So that says everything to me about what they think about it. And it was on ESPN.
Yeah.
Dan Orlowski out here throwing the ball and
not even Jason Kelsey's reverse tush push.
Nope. Not even that.
The only thing I saw was the tic-tac-toe thing. My buddy sent me that was pretty cool. Like I was into that.
I didn't see that.
The relay
kickers were playing.
Too.
I didn't watch anything else. The kickers. It was Brandon Aubrey against the kicker Justin Tucker playing tic-tac-toe, like through the field goal. They cut up the field goal into 9 spots, and Tucker won by 1. But like it was like that was pretty cool. But it didn't entice me enough to sit down next year and watch the whole thing. But
I saw clips too. Like Harrison said, I saw clips too. I saw Jalen throw a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, and it was like had
push Eagles clips.
I saw that happening, and then it had Cowboys and Eagles fans up in a roar because it was a Eagle throwing to a Cowboy, as if those two didn't play for the Sooners in college. Then also CD threw the ball to Jalen for a Philly special that Jalen absolutely fell and did not catch it. I also watched like some clips from the dodgeball game. Like the dodgeball game is very entertaining to me. Watching that, but outside of that, I didn't watch a lick.
I didn't watch the Pro Bowl when they were playing each other. I don't watch it now. Yeah. It's not for us.
Nope.
It's always been for kids and younger audiences. And
I loved it when I was a kid.
Seem to be. Yeah, I loved it.
Bring back Jock Jams. All I'm asking for is Jock Jams on MTV. That's all I need. That's it. That is the greatest thing ever. Bring it back. Period.
I was seeing stuff on social media like Ken Griffey Jr. and Barry Bonds and Prime in like a slam dunk contest in like the early 90s.
Yes.
Like, yes. I don't remember that shit at all, but like,
I do.
Let's do that. Can we do that?
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Deion Sanders out there in the slam dunk contest. Yeah. It was crazy. Like, bring
I wouldn't mind seeing some of these guys, like some of these receivers or whoever just doing stuff like that. That would be cool.
MTV, bring it back and put it on Paramount or whatever the hell you're streaming on that nobody actually subscribes to.
I will give it to the NFL though. You can dog you can dog the Pro Bowl. They're at least trying. They're at least they know what it is at this point, and they're just trying to throw stuff against the wall. And again, it's not geared to the three of us, but it's a money generator, and it's
they're doing a good job. It's a made for social media event now, and we've all seen various clips, and that's really what the job is, what the purpose is. So
bring it back to Hawaii. Stop playing around, and I'll go there so I can just go to Hawaii. MLB, Sam, you put something on here that I actually wanted to talk to you about, and I almost texted you about because there's a particular GM for a team that all three of us are fans of, and this particular GM said he was going to make this a mecca of sports for baseball, and I haven't seen him really land any pitchers. Instead, he's let a lot of pitchers go, and here the Orioles are, and they land Corbin Burns, who was the 2021 NL Cy Young winner.
For nothing.
Sam, talk to me about that, because I know it was for nothing. I know what it was.
Yeah. I will say we got one of the best hitters of this generation for nothing.
I
So
agree.
like, and props to Michael King, and you know how we're both very high on Drew Thorpe. Um,
I'm gonna
and
miss you,
I'm
Drew.
sure Harrison is too.
Drew.
Yeah. So like, yeah, but this was, again, Corbin Burns going to a very hitter-friendly park in Baltimore, a team that has won 100 games last year, a very young core with back-to-back Rookie of the Years. Or no, wait, Gunner last year. Jackson Holiday's probably going to win this year, and this team has the best farm system in baseball, and they gave up like their sixth best prospect and a former top pitching prospect who probably at one point was like their second best prospect, DL Hall. And this guy has like 5 or 6 walks per nine. Like they threw him in the bullpen last year. So complete reclamation project for Milwaukee that Baltimore probably just doesn't have the attention for now because of where they are. Uh, so yeah, I have to imagine there's better packages out there. I think the big thing here was Baltimore's also sending the 34th overall pick to Milwaukee, so that's very early second round. But it's essentially for nothing. I was explaining to my buddy Jeremiah, who comes on this pod every now and then, that it was basically like us trading now. As a Yankee fan, you guys will get this. Devi Garcia and maybe like Everson Pereira or um, Will Warren or something. Like
Clint
that's
Frazier.
for you know what? That's like yeah,
Clint
it's
Frazier.
so like kudos to the Orioles. They were literally sold like over the weekend, or they're going to be sold to a bunch of like I don't know if they're like hedge fund guys. I think Cal Ripken's part of the new ownership group, which is great because the
Good for
old
him.
owner was basically like, we're not going to be able to afford all these kids in a couple of years, so something's going to have to happen. That there's a laundry list of talent on this Orioles team because unlike the Oakland A's or another other really bad teams, they tanked the right way and they invested in scouting and they invested in building a structure for a farm system, and they're reaping the benefits of it now. So now you have a Cy Young Award winner and a walk year playing in a now very pitcher friendly park because they screwed around with the dimensions out in left field. So yeah, you're scared if you're in the AL East, or you're a contender here because Corbin Burns is that special. He didn't have a great year last year, but still he's a top pitcher in this league. So
Great. Love that. Get to
yeah,
see them multiple
love that
times a
for
year.
us.
Fun. Gonna be
I
so,
don't
so fun.
so I don't know what Cashman and company didn't want to give up for him, but they must still feel very good about being able to get him in free agency because I know it's been rumored a target for a while. So we'll see where that goes.
You're talking about Blake Snell?
No, for Corbin
Corbin?
Burns next year when he's a
Oh,
free
well.
agent.
Yeah, well, they're also Blake Snell is out there and he has an asking price, and the Yankees were the only team to essentially meet it, and he's still yet to sign. So Yankees, I'm telling you right now, I will say it here, and this is going to be the last time I say it, and I'm lying because it probably won't be the last time I say it. Get rid of the stupid facial hair rule, and you will get more players that come there because guess what? Players just want to be players and have the luscious locks just flowing and the magnificent beards. Just let them be who they are because guess what? You're the Yankees and they're going to be marketable. Yes, you can say, hey, listen, you can have your crazy stuff. Just keep it a little clean. I'm not saying you have to have it all the way off. Keep it clean and just let them do what they got to do. Like, stop
They've
doing
had
this because bro,
they've
there's a lot of
consistently
players that aren't
had
coming because of that.
they've consistently had the most marketable player in baseball for like 30 years now between Jeter and Judge. Like I don't know
They
if
could have had
facial
more.
hair is going to
They could have had
sure.
more.
Alex Verdugo looks ridiculous.
He does
without
look
hair.
ridiculous. Like there's some people that just don't need to have. They just need to have facial hair. Like you remember what James Harden looked like without facial hair? No, you don't remember because he's been with the beard for so damn long, and that's all you remember. And thank God that's all we remember. Let people just keep their facial hair. Just stop. Whew. Anyway, the Royals and shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. have signed an agreement to the longest, most lucrative contract in franchise history. That's wild. 11 years, $288.7 million, and it could go as high as $377.7 million. I know nothing about Bobby Witt Jr., so I'm not even going to begin to act like I do. Is this deal worth it for this young man?
He's very good. Shortstop. He stole a ton of bases. He could probably hit for a better average, but he was the second pick in the draft, 2019-ish, somewhere around there. His dad was a pitcher in the majors, so he's got the pedigree. He's a very good player. He's at the top of boards and fantasy baseball, probably easily a top 4 pick. Um, a lot of that is steals, but he's a very talented player. And it was more like, wow, where did this money come from? This is all the luxury tax money that the Royals have been stealing from like the Red Sox, Yankees, and Dodgers for decades. But, looking at what they've spent for like Sal Perez or Alex Gordon, like all of that doesn't even add up to the amount of money they just shelled out. So like, good for him. I just really wanted to make the point of where the hell this money come from, but yeah, he's good at baseball, so he's fun to watch.
I'll have to check him out. I'm gonna actually pre-download the show for this year. I know Harrison probably has already done it, but definitely gonna do that very, very shortly so I can have the new show just pop up on my Xbox and be ready in March. I don't care for who's on the cover, even though I used to like him, but it is what it is. So there's that. With that being said, this is the end of the episode. We're done. We're hungry. We're thirsty. We're all that good stuff. We got things to do. They got kids. I don't. So it's time to go. Sam, close us out.
Yeah, thanks for listening to this podcast today. 2.5 people talking about sports, because I don't even know what happened the first 20 minutes, but until next time, 122 in the books.
Didn't miss anything.
Harrison, thanks for stopping by. Come back next week and the week after and the week after. But until then,
back.
peace.
I have nothing for you this week.
Oh, I forgot he did this.
I have nothing. It's okay. Don't worry, Harrison. I got nothing this week. Y'all enjoy your weekend. And don't get too drunk at the Super Bowl like y'all don't have work on Monday. Goodbye.